What if we told you there was a way for you to shift into other worlds, like there's portals into other universes that you didn't even know about? Well, Akvile and we're going to talk about this and share with you what these portals are and how they work and how you too can shift into these other realms and universes and become all you can be. Yeah, we're going to talk about that, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Akvile can do this, right? Okay, so uh, just for fun to get you started talking here. But how often do you shift into other worlds uh, in a day or a week? Once or twice, or like hundreds of times? Can't count them. What?
I used to do it more previously, like nowadays, once or twice a day.
Uh,
But let's see, 2 years ago, that was pretty much like my whole day experience.
yeah. Wow. So, did it just happen naturally? We're gonna share the technique for doing it, like as a process. But before that, I want to ask you, Agila, mm, does it just happen naturally, or do you decide to do it, or something happen and then you do it, or how does that work?
It was a mix. More like when I was a kiddo, it happened naturally, like I had the visuals. But when I started talking about it to people, they said like, hey, no, you're imagining stuff, you're making it up, don't talk about it, or else. So like I learned about that, and then life happened. So like a lot of things that were harsh to the point where I had to deal with physical life, and I tried to shut off all of my spiritual abilities because that, just had to handle life. And with that personal transformation and the hero's journey people go through, it's like, oh, waking up, spirituality, and learning, and like my visuals are powerful, imagination and stuff, like cool. So got to play around with that a little bit, and again, kind of woke those abilities back up. And then it became a natural thing on a like daily basis where I can just be walking on a street doing stuff. And Lithuania, Vilnius, I'm walking on a street, there's like buildings, and I start seeing stuff that's I know it's not in the physical world, but it switches. And the moment I look at it and focus on it more, it becomes more of my reality. So it becomes like an overlay. And I can be on the street, I can be in a forest, and all of a sudden everything shifts and the world around me becomes different. And I would have to focus on like, oh, no, 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 shift back to the street, shift back to the street. So like, don't get into the car accident, don't like, don't walk into the people and stuff. But there will be variations where it's either that the world around me shifts, or there would be like my frequency and what I focus on matches a different realm. So beings from that realm would jump into this reality, and we would meet up. And it's like I can see them, and you can be walking in the crowd of people or in the mall or something, and I can be shopping, doing stuff. I look around, there's people, and there's some entity or there's some other being walking across. Like so we would encounter each other, and they would be fully aware that I'm aware of them. So a lot of variations, but like those experiences became my daily life. Like it would happen a lot, partly because I was having this escapism, just not wanting to be here and trying to get out, but also working on myself differently so that like I would focus on those different realities and make it more real and connect them. But another thing would be curiosity, wanting to learn from those beings, wanting to learn more stories about it. So it became a conscious thing.
Is there a particular kind of world that you go to a lot, like one world or one kind of world, or is it just anything and everything? Who knows?
Second way, like
Oh
anything that
yeah.
comes up, because like I don't have a specific scenario that I like to play out. I don't think of it like, oh, I have this favorite world and I'm going to return to it and do it every single day. Like a lot of people who are into that isekai genre of main character, like in the anime, dying in the real world and reincarnating into some fantasy world, that doesn't happen. I don't have a specific fantasy world or a thing I want to experience. It's more like a certain reality I'm more connected to currently. Like a theme might be sci-fi, so it's not going to be jungle type of stuff. It's going to be more like cyberpunk or different worlds or spaceships, and like it's not always a realm. It's more like certain spaces. It can be like a room, office room or something. So like it shifts. There are a lot of variations in there.
Okay, so let's talk about the details for our audience. I could go all over the place, but
Yeah,
I mean, oh yeah, shifting
right.
into other worlds is a technique. The way the technique works, you can call it by different names, but if you have a good visual imagination and you can see vivid imagery pretty well, some of you know this and some of you don't know it, but you're looking at an image, like you can imagine a beautiful sci-fi advanced futuristic city, and you're up in a skyscraper and you're looking, you zoom around, and it's just beautiful and you can visualize it, right? Now here's the thing, that imagery that you're seeing, you can step right into it now, and there's techniques. If it's new to you, there's ways you can do it. But now, is generally that how it works with you? You kind of see it out there and then you step into it, or did you automate? How's it work?
Yeah, and you've talked in some of your videos and other conversations and events where you are practicing visualization, but it's too much for you to confront. But sometimes you will see a tree and it's gonna scare you. It's like, oh, too much to handle. Well, for me, it's like it pops up. Like, I don't know why my comfort level is high-ish, or why can't I just be okay with it? But there are times where a thing pops up, and instead of getting scared, like, oh, it's like, or maybe sometimes getting scared, like, because there were times where I wake up at night to go to the bathroom. It's like 2 or 3 a.m. I open the door, fucking kid out there, like, Jesus Christ. I'm like dying inside, and it's not there. No one else is in your house. Like, my parents, yeah, like in their room, my brother, somewhere else, like, yeah. But like, no fucking kid. It's like, yeah, like I would get nervous. So like sometimes, even when I would get scared, it would not necessarily disappear. It would make it even more real. And then it's not just the kid in the room, is the reality around me shifts and becomes different. Like all of a sudden that kid is like the source of a different realm, that from that the surrounding from the kid start changing. Not just like all over, but it's like it comes from this kid, and all of a sudden like little things about him, or little parts start shifting, and like I can see the changes, but there would be differences. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. So the way it works, if you've got good visuals, you want to do this on your own, or we can guide you too. We do this. We got a guided session, we call it. But you got to have kind of good visuals to do it. But we can help you see your imagery, but then reach for it, withdraw from it, start touching it and feeling it, and then we check for smell and touch and taste and hearing. And some people, oh yeah, I can hear it. Imagine playing a violin. Yeah, yeah. What? But what we're doing is we're drawing the consciousness into the imaginary incident more and more. But in fact, what I've discovered over the years and working with Akvile, we've done this together many, many times. It's what you're really doing. It has to do with that greatness that we are. We're creating all of our realities and the environment that we're in. And it's very understandable. You can wrap your head around it when you do it with your imagination. In this physical world, not so much. We are still doing it. We're imagining it, but it seems, ow, don't hit that too hard. That'll hurt. But it's really the same phenomenon. It's a little more complex. But your visuals, you see a futuristic city. Now imagine being in an apartment, looking out the window. Yeah, it's that fast. You imagine it and create it. And somewhere along the line, you might pick up the template, or you're seeing a little bit and you're imagining this part and this. Oh, it's a big living room. It's beautiful. It's got these white couches and the kitchen is over there. And then all of a sudden it might just go boom and start populating itself without you consciously thinking it. Does it work like that with you, Akvile?
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I feel like few things with us, because when I started waking up, I found you, and then you helped me train and stuff. One of the things that kept on happening is like, while most of these experiences where I shift into another reality are random, consciously random, so to speak, that I don't really think about it, but something pops up and like, ooh, and I get right into it. When I was a kiddo and teenager, I used to keep on having this dream that I always kept on coming back. And it was like more of a nightmarish and this like a world destruction scenario, but it would be traumatic to the point where I wake up crying and my parents have to wake me up and like, wait, what's going on? What did you dream about? And you know, you and I, we went over that stuff to the point where, hey, it was one of my past lives. I lost a family, I couldn't stop things, and it like there was like a lot of like grief over that event, but like we had to recall it to the point like I became aware of what it was, and all those dreams, nightmares stopped, like never again. Ever
Yeah.
since that thing, like it never happened. So I was like more conscious where for people they might have repetitive dreams. It's not just a dream. Like that's something you should explore. Like you will like come back. What are the events happening? What are you doing? Like we're like us, we went from the beginning until the end. That whole past life regressions, like traumatic incident reduction stuff, like that helped. But another thing for me that works that as a possible technique that someone else might relate to is like you might have had an experience where you've been somewhere and a specific place stood out. And for me, like because I live in Lithuania, America was very exotic. And specifically the LAX airport, because that's freaking many people. Everyone is different. Like I've never seen anything that big. And then the sequoia forest. But like the LAX probably stands out more because of the different smells and just so many things were happening simultaneously that right now, as I'm sitting here talking to you and I think about LAX, I shift and I see the airport. I see the insides. I see the corridors. I see the tables. I see the clerks. I see people there. The whole place where you pick up suitcases and even leave the street, and you know cars and like a bus comes up and taxis. I see that, and for me, it's like you have a specific location where something stood out, well, try to just like close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, focus on that location, and look around. And it's like it happened to you for real, but your consciousness can come back to that place because it was so good or something stood out about it. And you can look around and like it becomes real to the point where if you practice it, you can shift to other realities the same way. So like that was like another thing. Like that one I usually do consciously where I would shift into certain locations I've been to and I would walk around and I would like look and that was like real as could be.
That is so amazing. It's an opportunity for people with good visuals or even medium good. People with good visuals, I've noticed they don't realize what they've got. It's just visual stuff. And so they have it, but they don't realize they can get it even better and what it can do for them. And what it is portals into other worlds, other dimensions. Other worlds and dimensions are created with the imagination, and they're created solo just by me or just by you in some cases. And in some cases, other beings are already creating those, and we're actually tuning in. We'll think of one little thing that it's part of that world, and we don't see the whole world, but you see that, and then as you tune in and you start co-creating that world, you don't realize you're co-creating it. You think you're just imagining a little thing, you know, but as it expands out, you start seeing more, and it's quite possible that it's a co-created reality system with other beings. So now you are shifting into another plane, density, realm, something like that, a different universe. And that's the magic of it. And all of us potentially have that ability to use our vivid imagination as portals into other worlds. And there's various little techniques to help you tune in and get, create it more and different ways like that. But once you can do that, you can start exploring the multiverse. You can get out of body easily, and you can do all that stuff.
I'll add one thing, like you're saying, it's the ability everyone potentially has, and everyone can do it. It's a muscle. It has to be trained. So don't think that you're gonna use a technique or two and you're gonna have like an overnight success. Like for some that do, like it's amazing, great, good for you. But for those that have no visuals and maybe for a long time and like like aphantasia or what is called, where people have absolute like zero, like pitch black. Like don't get discouraged by it because if you imagine stuff and think about it and kind of create a scenario of another world, another reality, it's like writing a little book, a paragraph. Once upon a time, I was walking through the forest and here's what I have encountered. Like you write up the details in your mind, but you're creating that reality. And like even though you might not see stuff, keep on creating, keep on imagining, keep on thinking about it, because information from that place will start coming. And you might get different sensations. You might sit in your room having no visuals, but thinking about the forest, and all of a sudden you will start smelling the forest. You will hear birds tweeting around, and a lot of different parts that will trigger your perception will come to you, and you'll slowly tune into that reality, and you can shift. So I think like absolutely everyone can do it, but it's a muscle that we have to practice.
Well said. Good stuff. Well, okay, folks, that's what we had to share with you about how to shift into other worlds as your visuals as portals. And it happens at night. Sometimes you'll be laying there and images will come and you can grab on and lock on and manipulate the images and you can step right in. So we'd love to talk more about this subject. If you leave a comment, want to hear more details or some of Akvile's adventures or some of mine.
Or share your own.
Yeah, or share your own. Be great. Okay. So thank you all for watching. And thank you, Akvile, for sharing your amazing experience.
Sure.